I've always loved art. I've always loved sculpture. That inspired me to do architecture. When I was a young high school student, friend of mine told me to go talk to Bud Fonts, who was an architect at the time. And I called him up and chatted with him, and he said, you go and you walk up to a building and you put your hand against the concrete, and if it talks to you, then you're an architect. So I'm from Mesa. I grew up in Mesa. I went and lived in New York for 10 years, and I saw just how amazing a city can be. And I moved back to Mesa, and I was like, all right, well, I want to make this city better. My core values. I believe aesthetics is really important. I spend more time on the aesthetics than I probably should monetarily. Opportunity is important. So I believe beauty can happen anywhere. So we do a lot of infill work. We find old kind of decrepit sites and we bring them back to life. We try to build new interesting things in there. I think it's potential. So I was involved in Boy Scouting for a while when my sons were in it. And I took a group of 12 to 18-year-old boys on a hike, a 100-mile hike. We hiked from Mesa all the way up to Payson. Say, oh, who would ever do that? Like, how crazy. You can't get kids to do that these days. It's like, well, you can. You just have to motivate them and inspire them and everything like that. And I feel the same way with most of the valley. I'm like, I think Phoenix area, it's kind of like a 12-year-old. Like, it could be really, really great, but you've got to make it do it, and you've got to speak their language, and you gotta tell them they can be better. You got to give them the right incentive. You got to do all this stuff. So I think it takes that. Nonprofit work I love, but then also for-profit work, again, like finding these guys in Brazil and Uruguay and Pakistan. It's for-profit work, but it's feeding them. It's feeding their families. It's doing all the same thing. And I'm like, I could hire someone here. I could hire someone there. If I hire them there, they're making a killing, versus what I would pay someone here to work on. And so I guess we do nonprofit charity work and we do for-profit charity work in the same. Awesome. Yeah, so I'm a part of, there's a neighborhood organization, Mesa Grande. I'm a big part of that. And some of the things when I first joined the group, they were like, multifamily is going to destroy this neighborhood. So, well, bad multifamily can hurt a neighborhood, but let's make sure that good multifamily comes in. And so there's been a change of thought for that whole group to now be more open to good quality multifamily. So Brian Sawyer and John Burson, who were my bosses in New York, just amazing people, incredibly technical, good architects. And then Brian, of course, because he would make friends with Jerry Seinfeld, he would make friends with Jay-Z. He would like his ability to just move easily among those crowds, and his charisma and that I think was very useful. And there's Bruce Howden, who's worked for me for 7 or 8, something that's crummy, and I that's really helped. It's helpful to have someone who will tell you the truth.
Right. We all need someone like that.
Even if it stings. Prepare for a lot of resistance. I saw how great the world could be. I came back and I tried to describe it to people. No one else could see it because they hadn't lived it. So like the amount of time it takes to slowly teach what you've picked up is really, really hard. The amount of resistance to that when I'm like, oh, I love this modern design. It does this and this. And they're like, why can't you just give it a roof and a regular door? Like, why do you have to do all this ugly stuff? I would meet people like crazy. I think whatever, volunteer for things, meet people. It's all who you know. But if you're building stuff versus a great architect who's not, you're not getting anywhere.
That makes sense. Connection.
So meeting people who are, I took my time out to go to lunch with everyone on city council when I could. Just to do it. And I go to lunch with contractors, with people all the time. You never know where your next job's going to come from, or you'll need a piece of information